Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. It's your home, OP. Do with it as you wish. If it looks unkempt, as long as it isn't run down, that's not their issue. They can have their yard look proper if they dislike it. Since the majority think it looks nice, then most others will, and it won't bring down property value. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Turned my yard into a native micro-prairie. After years of yard work at my home, I grew tired of it and decided to look into different options. My wife and I looked into landscaping, paying a company to maintain our yard, paying neighborhood kids, etc. But the idea we found that we both really liked was turning our yard into a native plant micro-prairie. Not only would this basically eliminate yard work since it's by design, our yard would become a native plant prairie that we would just leave alone. But it would also become much more bee-friendly, and we could apply for a grant from our state university to receive funds from them for building and maintaining a pollinator-friendly yard. It really seemed like a win-win. So we looked into initial costs and what we'd have to do, and it all seemed like something we could get done in about a year and without too much expense. Yes, it was going to be a lot of work on the front end, but the long-term goal was to reduce yard work, and this was the best way we thought we could do it. So last spring, we started the process of removing nearly all of our landscaping plants, removing sod, and planting native plants that would fit the qualifications for the pollinator grant. It was a lot of work. And of course, we didn't see results last year, but this spring, when things started to grow, it looked beautiful. We also got approved for our grant, and we got reimbursed for almost 75% of our expenses after state inspectors came out to see what we did. Sure, it wasn't your classic green grass lawn that all of our neighbors have, but it really is a little micro prairie in our front yard, and the bees love it, and we love it. However, some of our neighbors do not love it. We've had more than a few neighbors tell us it looks unkempt, which it kind of does, but that's the point. They've also complained about the bees because some of them are allergic, but the bees mind their own business as long as you leave them alone, and it's not like bees weren't here before we did this. There are just more now. When word got around that we actually got paid for doing this, we got a few curious neighbors asking if we thought it would work for their yards, and we told them of course it would. We gave out information to anyone who asked, and as far as I know, at least a couple of them have started plans for their own yards. I think it looks as aesthetically pleasing as a freshly mowed green lawn, and I haven't had to mow a single time all year. We still get dirty looks from some neighbors who think it looks ugly and brings down property values, but for the most part, people are curious about it and think it's an interesting idea. One neighbor right next to us thinks it's great and is thinking of doing the same thing to her yard. But the man on the other side hates it and thinks we need to do it all over again and put sod down like we did before. And our second story. I can't go over there? Okay, sure, that's cool. So this was about 6 months ago. I was working at a busy high street bar, and by busy, I mean really busy. We're talking consistently 4 or 5 people deep at the bar, all night on a Friday, Saturday, all effing night. I'd worked here for a solid 18 months, nearly 2 years fresh out of university. We had super high staff turnover, so I was one of the most experienced bar staff there. For context, we had 3 managers, live-in landlords, husband, wife, and their son, and 2 supervisors. I was one, the other is Emma, rule stickler. With some context that we were busy, we had a great understanding as a team. If you've got 2 minutes to kill while people have come back off their break and they can cover for 2 minutes, by all means, go and do your thing, man. Our unwritten rule amongst staff was pretty much to do what needed to be done. If there's tables to be cleared or take the bins out or general tidying, crack on, mate. We might not get a chance to do this stuff for a long, long time. This bar was pretty long, about 20 feet long, and so there were 4 tills. And we all loosely had sections that we kept to, so as to keep the bar pretty well covered. One day out of nowhere, the manager posts a notice on the wall stating that you absolutely have to keep to your section no matter what, under no circumstances, etc. I mean, okay, that's fine. I'm usually down at the end of the bar, which is a dead end, and I'm pinned down most of the evening anyway, so I rarely get a chance to do much else besides serve. But when I do get the chance to reset by tidying, stocking up, and whatnot, I'll do a solid job and then get back to serving. In fact, we all did this pretty efficiently as part of our unwritten rule. One day, about 4 p.m., we're relatively busy. It's steady, but it's not busy. I've got 3 customers to serve. First customer gets served, no problem. Second customer, I drop their glass all over the floor. Ah, crap. I'd best get someone to serve these 2 guys while I can clean up my broken glass. Enter Emma, rule stickler. She's never been the brightest and has 0 common sense. Me. Can someone do me a solid and serve these 2 guys while I sweep up this, please? Emma, have you not seen the rules? I can't go down there. It's not my section. Me. Okay, fine. You sweep this up while I serve then. Emma. Nope. Same rule applies. Me. Are you for real? You actually stood there twiddling your thumbs? I'm stood there thinking, just allow it, but obviously don't actually say it. Emma. Nothing I can do. So there I go. I serve these guys and the other 3 or 4 customers that come up, all the while I'm treading in broken glass. 10 minutes pass and I finally get a chance to go and get a brush. Here's when I saw an opportunity for some delightful, malicious compliance for the rest of the night. You can't use some common sense? You all bet your butt I'm going to be a pain in the butt all day. I live for this crap. So there I went. I didn't leave my 4-foot serving area for the remaining 10 hours of my shift. There's a ton of glasses down this end of the bar. Sorry, can't take them down. The glass wash takes me down the forbidden end of the bar. The bottle bin, a skip that we put empty bottles in, is overflowing and needs to be emptied. Too bad nobody else can lift it up or take it out, but that's out of my domain. Customer wants a particular spirit. That's a tough one. Our only bottle's kept on section 2, my love. You'll have to scoot over 3 feet. That customer a foot to your right was served before you? Too bad, pal. New policy, not my section. Give us a call first thing tomorrow and the manager will answer. I'm out of specific branded pint glasses for your high-end lager that normally comes in a fancy stemmed glass. Eesh. I mean, there's some over there, but that's a demilitarized zone, dude. But here's a piping hot Guinness glass. Slap that crap up. Best be quick. In 2 minutes flat, that'll be more dead than my sex life. Fast forward to the end of the night, and the bar is in absolute crap state. Mess everywhere, everyone's section, not just my own. It wasn't a particularly busy night by our normal standards, and this mess was attributed solely to this new policy. Usually, we'd have all pitched in and just cracked on with doing what needed to be done. The manager's tirade continued with a few other things, but those are stories for another day. I handed in my notice a few weeks later and landed a sick job doing something actually related to my degree. Happy days. I'd like to say that while I recognize Emma was simply sticking to the new policy, she very clearly took it literally to the point where you can't budge an inch out of your section. The rule pretty much meant that you shouldn't serve anyone outside of your section, which we all pretty much did anyway. And our last story. Corrupt HOA and local police. I live in a neighborhood running a fraudulent HOA that I refuse to participate in because it's not my deed. I have signed no contracts and object to their actions. Unfortunately, my home is located in a rural area where things are very backwards and corrupt. They've engaged in major harassment against me. I filed for a restraining order in the past and made multiple reports to police. However, one of the HOA leaders has family connections to the police. The police officer actually lived right next to me for a year. I think he was involved in silencing my restraining order request, although I recognize they typically want violence and not videos of harassment. Well, this past week, one of the HOA members came to my house on Sunday, all the way on my property. Despite my having filed police reports against other members in the past for trespass and property destruction and having cameras at the driveway, I knew who he was, although never having met him, because he'd been involved in some of the harassment against me. I immediately told him to leave the property before he even got to the door. He didn't and proceeded at me and then got argumentative, asking me what he ever did to me. Finally, I said I was calling the police if he didn't leave right this second. He left me with a letter demanding money on the ground, although they know full well I'm not contributing to their BS. It was actually an email from their group, which they don't include me on. He'd printed it out earlier in the day, and there was no other addresses. Those had been removed. They'd collected their funds several months prior. Anyhow, I did file a report with the police because I believe this is a classic trespass. But they sent the officer related to one of the HOA leaders. He gave me a ton of BS how I should contribute to the HOA and the prosecutor would just consider it neighborly, even though this is not even my close or direct neighbor. And how is it not trespass despite all my history with this group, which the officer even admitted knowing? He was a real bullcrapper, gaslighting me for not contributing, trying to get me to believe I'm the problem for not being neighborly. I think it's BS because the state where I'm from, trespass is just a violation. So nothing came of my police report, even though I have video and the letter he left me on a Sunday. My family and I are torn what to do about this. I know there's internal affairs for police, but these people are crazy and it's a rural area. I worry about retribution. They tend to harass me every summer since this is a part-time home, so passage of time has been an issue in proving harassment since it's always like, well, they did this a year ago, only because I'm not always there. So I hired a lawyer with a reputable firm not located in my town, made sure to vet them for conflict of interests, relations to any of my neighbors or officers in question, made sure they're licensed properly for my state or area if I cross state lines to get the help I need. It was very helpful because the firm had attorneys who specialize in both real estate law and whatever the legal term is for dealing with law enforcement authorities. In the end, guys from HOA got off my back. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.